Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. So today we got a little bit of an interesting one based off of this introduction I've got. So this is going to be a Kiriko VOD review, but it looks like they play a little bit of Mercy at the very beginning. And when I saw that, I just kind of skimmed through and just, wanted to see like how much Kiriko there actually was before I actually VOD reviewed it, because I was looking for a Kiriko to review. And I found one, and this one's mostly Kiriko, so I just decided to go for it. So the reason why I say this one's interesting is because this allows me to talk about something that we don't normally get through a replay code. So let me get into this introduction, and then that will segue me into this point that I'm talking about. So let's begin. After this match and during it, my duo was yelling constantly at me that I wasn't healing him enough. He also decided to call me names during the match, which lowered my will to play. I said that sometimes it's because of his position. For example, when he jumps in as Winston, he says I should have teleported to him and followed, meaning that I would have probably also died. I admit I also made mistakes. I'm not perfect at the game in any way. I'm only plat on support. My question is, am I, Kiriko, the reason we lost this match? Because he says I was. In my opinion, we all made mistakes and we're all to blame. It is a team game after all. I would like you guys to look at the replay, provides code, and then feel free to give me, Kiriko, or my duo, the tank, any advice you'd like. I'll appreciate it. So that segues me into toxicity and playing while tilted, being tilted at somebody you're playing with. Now, I haven't watched this replay yet, so I don't know who's to blame, if it's the whole team, if it's the healer, if it's the tank, I don't know. But as somebody who kind of gets hyper competitive when it comes to this game, I'm going to try to take a different approach to this than what I saw a lot of people on Reddit say. Because, in today's day and age, there's a lot of like cancel culture and, just like the second there's a problem, break up with the guy and move on, or what, what have you. And I don't know these people's relationship. Maybe the toxicity stays in Overwatch and it doesn't bleed outside of it, or maybe it does. I don't know, but for somebody like myself who gets hyper competitive at the game, it can be easy for me to get tilted at a teammate. I've battled that from day one at the game. I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it, but if I sat here and told you guys and looked right at the camera right now and said that I don't get angry at teammates ever, that would be a lie. I definitely do here and there, but I've definitely worked on it and I've gotten a lot better at it. With that said, one thing that I do to try to combat getting toxic at teammates, or to take it a step beyond that, getting toxic at somebody I'm playing with that I know or I'm grouped with, I might dedicate an account to playing with them. So then that way, I'm like, say for example, I have a goal of getting to, I don't know, Masters 5. Let's just throw that rank out there, since they said that they're plat. They don't specifically say what rank they are, but let's just say they're plat 5. And their tank is, let's say, plat 1. Let's just pretend that the tank is a little better than the support. I don't know if that's the case or not, but let's just pretend that it is. If I'm plat 1 and I have a goal in my head to get to Masters 5, and I'm playing with a duo that I know is not quite up to my level, and I dedicate an account to playing with them that is not my main, that takes a little bit of the edge off of me to not get toxic to my teammate. to my partner, to somebody I know in real life. And now, granted, I've never played this game with somebody I know in real life, but I have played with friends and I have gotten irritated at friends, and vice versa. It's gone the other way too. Friends have gotten irritated at me for the way I was playing. So it goes both ways. And this game can be a game that can get on your nerves for a variety of reasons. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to take a different approach to this than what I'm seeing on Reddit. So I just wanted to throw that suggestion out there. Maybe just get a second account and dedicate it to playing with your partner. And then when you're looking to play on a higher tier level game, you play on your main account. And then you could also use that second account to help train and educate your partner. Now, based off of this introduction, they're talking about diving in with a Winston as Kiriko. So maybe I've got this whole scenario reversed, and maybe it's really the other way around, because I don't know about diving in as Kiriko with a Winston, but we'll dig into that when we see the situation happening. And, you know, once we've got a little bit more context, we can dig into that. But I just wanted to throw that suggestion out there and try to take a slightly different approach to what other people were saying in the subreddit. But yeah, take it with a grain of salt, because I don't know you, I don't know your relationship, and I don't know the guy that's playing tank here. So all I can do is take a look at the VOD. So with that being said, let's dig into this VOD and let's see what we got. So we know this is our healer and this is our tank. So these two roles are going to get swapped at some point in the pretty near future. I think it's like 1 or 2 team fights, and then I believe they start swapping. So going along with this, I like that you're already pocketing the Widow. So, I mean, like, that pretty much goes hand in hand, which is what you're already doing. And then the Ana basically has the tank and the Junkrat responsible. And then if the Widow kind of sucks, then you can start going over to the Junkrat or to your tank and, you know, kind of go from there. And if it starts really sliding around, then you could swap. So the fact that we know that you're going Kiriko, I think is a good swap because they have Ana. So let's just say you're Kiriko at this point already, because we know you're swapping to it soon. What else would I play with this team comp? Kiriko definitely would be my number one pick because of the Ana on the other team. I've been playing a lot of Kiriko lately in my games. I've actually, my buddy that I do play with has been calling me a Kiriko one trick now, and I kind of agree with him. My Kiriko hours are catching up to my Lucio hours, and they're getting, I think it's within like 2 or 3 hours of each other now. So, yeah, I'd say Kiriko's probably the best hero to pick here. I'm okay with starting on Mercy, though, just to see if the Widow pops off, and I'm guessing it probably doesn't, and then you go Kiriko. So I think Kiriko's a good swap, and then Mercy as a backup could potentially work. But aside from that, I like the team comp for the most part. Junkrat's pretty good at this part of the map. Starting on Widow can be all right here. This part of the map is kind of Widow friendly. Usually around the second point is where I usually like kind of want to start seeing Widow swap. A good Widow can make the second point work as well. Well, frankly, a good Widow can make it work pretty much anywhere on this map, but I don't know what rank of a game this is, and especially with the matchmaking being the way it is, who knows what we've got here. So let's dig into this and see what we got.
Attackers incoming. Execute the stop the payload.
Oh, we got a hit marker.
Let me take a look. How delightful.
So I like everything you're doing here right now. So the only thing I'd say here is, yeah, okay, so you do end up doing it anyway, but I would have swapped over to the Ana maybe just a little bit sooner. Let the Ana kind of worry about the tank. Just make sure the Ana's good, and then get back to your Widow, or start pocketing the Junkrat as soon as, once you get the Ana topped off. Your tank wasn't really in too bad a shape, but getting the Ana feeling comfortable enough to just kind of stay there, I think is important, but... Yeah, so your tank needed to fall back a lot sooner there. Your whole team's falling back and your tank is just staying there. Now, he doesn't have eyes in the back of his head, so tell him to fall back. I'm guessing there's just a lack of communication going on here, and on top of this, you might have the God complex that a lot of supports tend to deal with, because that wasn't savable. And it looks like you're trying to go over there and save him anyway. And now you're frontlining as Mercy and you need to get out ASAP. Yeah, and that got you killed by trying to go over there and helping him when it was already too late. But holding this spot right here is imperative. This is one of the hardest chokes to get through in the game now that a lot of the 2CP maps are, well, all of the 2CP maps are just gone for the moment. So with all those 2CP chokes out of the game for now, until they ever make a return, if ever, this is one of the biggest chokes you have to hold. So why your tank is holding beyond this past, I don't know, a little bit. Like, I've seen teams trying to hold past this choke, but it will sometimes it'll work, but for the most part, you have to already know that your DPS are like completely diffing the other team's DPS. It's too early to know if you're even in that situation or not. Holding this choke is so easy to do, and it eats up so much time, and if you hold it successfully, you've got a short attack window, because then you only got to push it a little ways and the game's over. So why your tank just blindly stayed up front there and not falling back to here, I don't know, but I don't like that play at all. Because now you've given up this choke for free. They're pushing it through easily, and that choke is gone. This is a map that I like playing Lucio on, just because I can hold that choke almost by myself for a while until the whole team starts getting over there. But that's a nice skin for Kiriko. I don't think I've ever actually seen that one. What does this skin look like? I don't even think I know what this skin is. I thought this was the witch one at first, but I don't know this skin. I don't recall ever seeing that one. Alright, anyway. So, alright, there's been a lot of swaps all of a sudden. So the Ana went Zen. Why did the Ana go Zen? I don't know, and I don't like that swap. I think they should have stayed Ana. That's going to make things difficult. So all of a sudden you went from the off healer to the main healer. Kiriko can main heal. Yeah, so alright, so Kiriko can main heal, but it requires a slightly different play style. And Kiriko doesn't shine at a main heal, but she can do it. But if she's main healing, she's not getting her max value, because her max value is pumping out heals, but then also throwing a few shots out there, and the good Kirikos will land headshots here and there. I mean, you're not landing them all the time, but you're getting at about 20-something% of a clip rate of headshots, give or take a little bit, depending on what you're up against and what map it is and whatever. But I definitely don't like it next to a Zen. If you're gonna main heal on Kiriko, I'd like to see somebody off healing that can actually pump out a little bit higher of a off heal roll. Zen is by far the weakest in that category, unless he's popping off on trances. So that's going to put you in a rough spot. The other issue here is that your tank is standing inside of a defense matrix and then gets antied. You can't cleanse it if he's in the defense matrix because that will get eaten. And that's what happened there. Like, you tried to do the right thing, but you couldn't because your tank is, once again, too far forward. This is not a spot to be holding either. Like, basically where you're standing is where I would like to have seen your tank be, and then you would be here. I'll just, let me zoom out. So basically, like I said, where you're standing is pretty much where I'd want like your tank to be. Somewhere like in this vicinity would be fine, and then you being like over here. Because this is pretty close to their spawn. Now, the exception to what I'm saying is, like, if somebody on their team had gotten picked by, say, like, the Widow or the Junkrat. But that didn't happen. Because if that happened, then you could start pushing up to, like, what you're playing at now and trying to, like, push them back into spawn and, like, holding that choke that's over there. But that didn't happen, and then on top of that, your Widow's dead. So this is too far forward. Okay, so that's a good escape. Maybe try to keep the Zen going a little longer though, but problem is that D.Va can follow you up there, but yeah, so that E right there. So let's actually go back a little further. So right there, I would have stayed with the well, actually, maybe that wasn't. Okay, I take that back. I don't think you could have prolonged him anymore. I thought maybe you could have got another wave off on him, but I guess not. So that E... Oops, shoot. Bag up. So, alright. You E right here. You don't need to do that. You're at half health. You're still essentially fine, especially considering you can teleport here. Just teleport. Because now you get antied. And you could have cleansed that. However, even if you do cleanse that, you still have a D.Va and an Ana about to dive you. And Junkrat gets countered pretty hard by D.Va. So, yeah, you could have cleansed this, but you're probably just staggering your guys' selves. And really, at this point, it's probably die on the cart. Because if you're going to stagger, at least delay the cart. Oh wow, you actually got out. Okay, I'm actually impressed you got out from there. I figured you were as good as dead there. So save your E's for Ana nades. When there's an Ana on the other team, that's a great opportunity to play Kiriko, but keep your E available for when you see people being antied. If there isn't an Ana, but there's an Ashe, then you can use it for like when people are being set on fire. If there's a Junker Queen, wait for her ultimates. Certain ults you can try to time with the E ability, like say for example Sigma. If you get lifted up and you're next to a wall, and you get picked up, you can kind of time it so that you throw the E and it hits the wall and it, you know, affects you and it'll protect you from that. D.Va Bomb can be another one that can be kind of easily timed. But in terms of this game right here, save it for the Ana nade because she's clearly trying to anti-people because we've already seen it. And Ana nades have a quicker cooldown than Kiriko E, so you definitely got to save it for good Ana nades. Alright, so let's rewind and get refocused here. So, okay, you teleport away from the D.Va. You don't have your E to cleanse yourself, which kind of goes to what I was talking about. So you're low and you can't do anything about it. And now the soldier is ulting. And you're in trouble. So you being low here is kind of your fault because you didn't have your cleanse ability. That could have been saved for right there. Now, you also are a little out of position because of that teleport. And he doesn't, yeah, your tank doesn't have his shield. I was going to say shielding here would be very beneficial, but he doesn't have it. So, yeah, you're just kind of stuck. I don't know what he used his shield on because I'm not VOD reviewing the tank, and I'm not in a position to VOD review Ramatra because I haven't actually played Ramatra for 1 second yet. I haven't played tank much in Overwatch 2, to be honest with you. But I don't know what he used his shield on, but it would have been really nice for him to have a shield here. So yeah, you're kind of in a rough spot. Now you are about to have teleport again. Is there anybody you could teleport to? Not really, because if you teleport to the Widow, then you're going to get hit by the Diva. So yeah, you're just kind of in a rough spot here, frankly. So, okay, actually, well, now the Diva's diving you. I was going to say, the one thing you could have maybe tried to do, now that I think about it, is... you could have wall climbed up here and tried to get to high ground, but I had to like kind of sit and think about that, and you're in the part of the game where you're just reacting to every little nuance of a nanosecond here, you know? So I don't really blame you for thinking about that, but that could have been something you could have done. You could have tried to wall climb out of there. But yeah, frankly, you were in a rough spot.
Done playing around.
Oh, let's rewind that.
Like a gentle rain. Let the kitsune guide you.
Okay, so he got slept. You woke him up with the cleanse. I'm okay with that. Cleansing for a sleep dart, I'm okay with. Now, one thing I've said in previous VOD reviews here is that Ramatra, when he ults as a support, dedicate everything to him. So I'm definitely okay with ulting there. Ramatra's ult is still one of the most oppressive ultimates in the game, even after its little nerf that it received that seems to have gone above everybody's radar. So for the sake of those that don't know, around New Year's weekend when Ramatra started going live, Ramatra's ultimate went through shields. It does not go through shields anymore. I have not found that in a patch note, but it doesn't do it anymore. And it used to. It 100% used to when he first went live. So I don't know when that switch exactly happened where it stopped, but it was somewhere just after that New Year's break that we had. Somewhere around there is when that changed. So, but they're not running shields. So they don't have anything to deal with a Ramatra ult. If I'm playing on the enemy team, I'm telling Diva to save her bomb for Ramatra ults, because that's really the only thing they have to deal with this. So you using your ultimate to help give him a speed boost, I'm totally cool with, because normally what I do is I'll play Lucio with Ramatra and then I'll just speed him around and swap to heal song and kind of just go back and forth. But this totally works too. So at this point now, all you can do is just pump him full of heals while he runs around and just passively damages everybody. And then hopefully the Moira gets back here and then you can kind of do a little bit of damage and she can just spray him. The only problem is that you did use your E to wake him up, so Anna could potentially anti him, and then everybody just focuses him down and you can't do anything about it. But that is what it is, considering he was slept and you woke him up, which, you know, if you didn't do that, he might have just died with everybody shooting him right away anyway, so... Okay, so you're going into DPS mode. That's a mistake. You gotta pump your tank full of heals here. Yeah, so that little DPS moment that you took hurt your tank from being able to be aggressive there. That was a situation where you just gotta pump them full of heals. So like, one thing that I see from a lot of Kirikos out there is certain Kiriko players play Kiriko like they're Mercy, and all they do is heal, and they barely do any damage, if any at all. And I usually get on them for that because that's not how to play Kiriko. But there's time as a support. There's times and places to heal, and there's times and places to do some damage. That was a time to just pump your tank full of heals and just allow the Ramatra to be aggressive. Like, they're taking a couple pot shots at the Diva. That's the time and a place to do some damage, and you did that. But yeah, when the Ramatra is ulting, you just gotta throw all healing. It's all hands on deck to keep that Ramatra as aggressive as humanly possible when he's ulting. Good headshot. Okay, so one thing I'd like to see you try to do is after you got that headshot, if nobody's going to go up there to try to finish off that Sojourn, I think it's totally reasonable for you to try to wall climb up there and see if you can just finish them off. Now, I wouldn't do it now because now they're starting to get healed and whatever, but the second you landed that headshot, you could have teleported over to the guy furthest over to the Sojourn, wall climb up there, because at that point you're like 1 or 2 body shots from a kill, or like a body shot and a punch, and I think that's a reasonable attempt to just go into a damage mode. And again, that goes into like, there's a time and a place to do this and a time and a place to do that. That would have been a good time to just kind of go off on a little side mission to see if you could pick off the Sojourn. Now, if you're not super confident on your aim, that would be another story, and then that's something that you'd have to work on in terms of getting your aim better. That E that you just did right there was unnecessary. Save that for things to cleanse or when they're really low. Like right there, that now you need your E and you don't have it. And by the time you'll have it, it'll just wear off. Yeah, and that one, okay, so that one I at least see what you're trying to do, but that one just poor aim.
Like a gentle rain.
Bad guy. Heads up. Chew on that. Step rider. Line of fire.
You take a lot of damage, huh?
Oops.
Right on time.
Aim a little bit higher. You gotta, so one thing that you need to do when you're aiming as Kiriko, try to aim at headshot level at all times.
Your end is within my reach.
You gotta kind of think of Kiriko as like a pseudo Hanzo. Hanzo always gets those bullshit headshots where, you know, that's kind of what tilts everybody playing against a Hanzo. Think of Kiriko as like a pseudo version of that. No. This is not a good time to ult. So okay, making space away from the soldier is fine, going here is fine, but you just gotta try to heal and out damage this fight. And frankly, you guys need to be retreating here. Holding this is not worth it. I mean, it's right now it's a 4 versus 4. Each team's down a DPS, but they're committing ultimates, and your team isn't. Nor should your team be trying to hold this, because their spawn is right here. You get a kill, they're coming back pretty quick. Quicker than you guys are probably coming back, unless it's a mobile hero that can, you know, kind of jump the wall to get back over down here, assuming you were to hold this area. But then you ulting out here is no. That you don't do. You wait for your team to be going in together when some of their ultimates are done, because like you have no space right now because there's a Diva Bomb waiting to go off. And that Diva Bomb blew up your tank. So now there's no value here. There's nothing. You don't get anything out of this. None of these guys are in a position to use that. And then same thing with that E ability again. Didn't need it. So your E ability 100% needs to be a focus of improvement for your Kiriko. The two biggest things I'm seeing since, and I'll throw this in there even though I'm not really VOD reviewing your tank, but your tank's positioning is far too aggressive and your E ability is being misused. Those are the two biggest things that I'm seeing right now. Good headshot on the Reaper. Unfortunate that, well, your team did take advantage of it, but unfortunate that it ended up being a pick for a pick again. So Mercy reses your, okay, your tank ults and finishes off the Mercy before the res goes off. I like that. So remember what I said last time, you just pocket your tank now, keep them aggressive. Okay, nice headshot. Alright, so you guys have the momentum again. Okay, so now you can try to hold that area that you were holding before. And then just kind of casually fall back if the picks don't start coming your way. Yeah, like this I like. Now I would play behind your tank just because you're kind of susceptible to maybe taking damage. Okay, everything here is fine that I see. Nice headshot. Where, oh. Okay, that E I like. That's a good example of using it when there isn't like an Ana something to cleanse or something out there to cleanse. Only problem is now you got a Diva about to probably finish you off here. That one too soon. So one of the problems here is that you guys are getting flanked and the flanker is by themselves and they're not getting punished. And that kind of falls on your DPS and your other support. It doesn't help that your tank is kind of playing a little on the too aggressive side. Just pop ult and contest here. Like, I don't think I've seen your tank really do anything in terms of peeling. They're just playing frontline, 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 and that's it. But yeah.
Attackers incoming.
Okay, so
Escort the payload.
let's see. Kiriko, Lucio is going to be rough with this team comp. This team comp's very divey. and this team comp doesn't necessarily require a speed boost, which means Lucio not the greatest pick here. Which I know isn't you, but that's going to make playing Kiriko difficult. However, they're still on Ana, so I still feel like the Kiriko is needed. So having a Lucio is going to be rough. I'd ultimately like to see somebody on the Lucio character side of things being a main heal. Ana would be ideal. If not Ana, then Baptiste or Moira. I'd even take Mercy, frankly. I think Mercy could actually be a good one here. But I'd say Ana or Mercy would probably be my top two picks for what the Lucio should be playing. I'm totally fine with you being on Kiriko. As far as Winston, Genji, and Widow go, I'm okay with the Winston and I'm okay with the Genji. The Widow feels a little out of place, but I'm okay with them trying it just as long as they swap if it doesn't work. Which I think they will because they did it on the first time. Okay, so that was too far too soon. Why are you jumping that far in that soon? You don't even know what you're jumping into. That's insane. And then on top of that, you're doing that with a Kiriko and a Lucio as your healers. Like, you don't even know what the team is running yet. The cart hasn't moved an inch, and you're already in the middle of their team comp. What do you possibly hope to get out of that? So what you normally see, or what people normally do, is they push the cart up to this area. You get a feel for what you're up against, and then you make an intelligent dive decision on what looks most diveable. What this isn't gonna work. You can't save that. That's insane. And then to get pissed off at your support for doing that is batshit insane. So that might be an anti you maybe save your E for. However, the Ana is now dead, so there's nothing to save it for. But when you see an anti, judge if it's worth cleansing just before you just outright cleanse it, because of the cooldown differentials between Ana and Kiriko. Because Ana can get another nade off before Kiriko gets another cleanse. So in a case like that, you're not taking enemy fire. Nobody's diving you. You're safe. Even though you got antied, you're safe right now. Maybe you don't need to cleanse that one and you just save it for something better, like if somebody gets slept. Or like here, you get trapped. Maybe you start taking some fire and then you cleanse yourself, and then you can eat a shot or two and then you survive the trap. You know what I mean? Like that. These are the kind of things you got to kind of think about. So when I say, you know, use your E for like Ana nades and Ana sleeps, well, judge the quality of it too before you just outright do it. You know, because like right there, for example, when that Winston got slept, he could have used a good cleanse there, but you didn't have it because you cleansed yourself at a time that you didn't necessarily need to. So again, the cleansing on Kiriko, this is a mechanic that isn't being totally understood by you yet, but hopefully after the end of this VOD review, you'll have a better idea of what to do with it. And honestly, I feel like Yeah, see, like there, that was kind of another wasted one. But see, I feel like what makes the two things that I feel like really make a good Kiriko after putting a bunch of hours into her these last 2 weekends is landing headshots on Kiriko and being able to do damage with her. Like you're not a mercy when you're Kiriko. You got to put out some damage. And usually when I'm not the Kiriko and I'm looking at the scoreboard at the end of a round, if my Kiriko doesn't have roughly in the ballpark of, say, about 1,200 to 1,600 damage at the end of a round, they're probably not playing Kiriko right, at least in terms of doing damage. Because, and assuming they're, and I say that with the assumption that they're on the lower end of that. If they're on the higher end, that could be a problem too, or they're just DPSing too much, or you're maybe just stopping the enemy team. I mean, there's some wiggle room to what I'm talking about here, but you got to be able to do damage on Kiriko. That's number one. And then number two is her E ability. If you're mismanaging her E ability, you're missing out on a huge part of her kit. And I would say you're definitely mismanaging her E ability. I think, and I don't think you're doing enough damage on Kiriko without knowing the scoreboard just from watching this. You have gotten some nice shots off though, but I think a big reason why you're not getting the damage done on her is because of your DPS aren't protecting your flank, for one. Like, they're getting outdone. But then number two, your tank feels like he's only focused on frontline, and then your DPS are kind of not being able to take advantage of that. Now, okay, I just want to point something out here. You might know this, you might not. I didn't go back far enough. Let's just go here. Okay. You're healing on the opposite end of that Sigma shield. Her healing coupons, they don't go beyond shields. So all of this is being eaten by the shield. So you would have to either kind of slide over to the left and heal through that crack right there, or overextend a bit. Now, granted, you're in a Winston dome, so you could probably walk up and be fine here, but just so you're aware that Winston's not getting healed. Now, the Winston's also at full health, so this is an instance where you would want to be DPSing a little bit while this dome is up, and then when the dome goes down, then you want to focus on the healing. But I just wanted to point this out because I saw this, that this shield is breaking your healing. So I've said this in previous VOD reviews, but the thought just came into my mind. But when there's Winstons that pop their dome down and the dome seems to just live forever, and you're on the receiving end of that, and your DPS aren't swapping to break the shield or counter the Winston, something as a support player that I like to do is I'll go Brig, because Brig can kind of skirmish with a Winston. Now, you won't win that battle, but you can skirmish with a Winston and you can heal inside of his shield as Brigitte, and you can make that Winston think twice about where and who and what and how he dives. So keep that in mind when you're on the receiving end of Winstons and their domes aren't breaking and your DPS aren't playing ball with the counter picking and that sort of a thing. But yeah, when that dome was up, you should have just been throwing out a few shots here and there. But now that it's down, now it's on the Winston to get out of that Sigma shield so that you can heal him and then keeping him going so that he can be aggressive. With that being said, though, the Winston cannot frontline this. This right here is not for the Winston to frontline. The Winston has to get beyond this and dive either the Mercy, the Ana, or the Soldier is what I'd like to see him do. And then having like the Widow, the Widow needs to swap at this point because I'm not really seeing them getting picks. And then honestly, I'd like to actually see the Junkrat swap as well. And and then doing something about dealing with the Sigma. But the Winston cannot frontline this. It will be a failure. You don't want to see Winston's holding left click on an enemy tank when the whole team is with the tank, because that's just not what Winston's for. He needs to dive on a support and make that support's life hell, and maybe even get on a DPS or something. But so wait, what did you use your E on? I didn't even see it. You used it there. I guess you were worried that Winston was about to die, so you're trying to keep him going. Yeah, I wouldn't have. I don't think I would have thrown that E, although I at least can understand what you're trying to do with that one. I think one thing would benefit for the duo thing situation. Communicate when you've used your E, and communicate when it's about to come down on cooldown. Because if he's a Winston player, dive requires communication and it requires coordination. If he's diving and you don't have your E, so that when he eats an Ana nade or an Ana sleep, he needs to know that cleanse is coming. And if you can't provide it, that should be communicated. I think that's going to help you guys out tremendously as well, because he's under the assumption, for whatever reason, even though you did use it on him, but he seems to be under the assumption right now that he's going to be cleansed, I feel like, and you can't provide that. I don't know if maybe he's not aware of how long the cooldown for cleanse is, because, you know, he's a tank player, so he just doesn't know. But yeah, I think it's 15 seconds, 15 or 16, something like that. Let's try to pay attention after you use it here again, just to see.
Careful, we're outnumbered. Restoring balance.
So I'm okay with the Roadhog swap. Roadhog's a very strong character, especially with a Kiriko backing him up, assuming he's getting E'd properly here.
The breeze brings relief. Purify.
Like that E right there, I don't even know what are you eating here? Okay, so it's 14 seconds. But yeah, what did you see? The Lucio's fine. You got the Roadhog, but I mean, he's fine. You're fine. Yeah, I don't know what you're eating here. This should have been held. Just wait until the Ana does something to your hog and then cleanse it.
Purify.
I'd like to see you start, throw a little bit of damage out here. You're kind of becoming like a Mercy Kiriko, where you're just healing and not doing any damage. That balance still has to exist to some degree. There you go, now you're kind of doing it. It doesn't help that you're playing with a Lucio, I get that part of it, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of Lucio Kiriko, but I've totally done it and made it work. But typically speaking, when you throw your healing coupons out, you can get 2 shots off before those healing coupons regroup. So keep that in mind too when you're playing Kiriko.
I've got you. Help me move the payload.
Yeah, not an E worth throwing there. And then on top of it, you missed it.
Restoring balance.
See, like right there, that's where he needs it. Or even trying to time that tire could have been useful. That however is asking a lot, but because like if I were playing in your shoes there, I would have had it for when he got antied, and then the tire just would have took us out anyway. So that situation a little on the irrelevant side just because of the tire usage there, but typically speaking, the Kiriko cleanses the hog on the anti there, and then you fight, but then the tire just would have taken you out anyway. Maybe not the hog, because if you cleanse him and then he self-heals, he's back to like full health with a few of, you know, your healing coupons topping him off along the way, and then the tire takes you out and just makes him really low. But either way, that fight probably ends on the tire. See, I don't like that Lucio ult. I get that. I get what he's trying to do. He's initiating with it, but I would save that. See, because your Sigma, the enemy Sigma here's got ult. Save that Lucio beat drop for the Sigma. I'm okay with you ulting here. The one thing I want to add, and the one issue I have, is that they've got a lot of people on high ground, and your team doesn't have a lot to take or contest that high ground. Your Hanzo's going up there to do it. We saw him going up there. It wouldn't be a bad idea for you to be with that Hanzo to help him take that high ground. Lucio can get up there, but if it's not a Lucio player, like he doesn't play a lot of Lucio, he might not know great ways to get up there to do it. Which then kind of falls, like Kiriko getting up there is pretty easy. You can wall climb up there, you could teleport up there when the Hanzo gets up there, or you just take the long way and walk up there. But Kiriko's probably the one to go up there with the Hanzo. You can DPS a little bit, you can keep the Hanzo topped off and all that kind of a thing. I'd be fine with the Lucio doing it if he knew how to get up there, but I'm feeling like he probably doesn't know the best way to get up there. Yeah, so again, misuse of the E, your hog gets antied and he's low, and now we can't do anything. And now he's got to wait it out. And then here's a misuse of the Lucio ult now coming back to haunt you guys because now the hog's in it and he's dead. So you see how mismanaging ultimates, mismanaging abilities as a support just cost you this fight. But you can only control so much of that because, I mean, you're not the Lucio. But, you know, if your team's communicating and they're like, okay, we can beat drop to initiate, that's something you might want to just vocalize about, saying, no, don't do that because we haven't seen Sigma ult in a while. He probably has his ult. You want to save that for Sigma ult. You ulting there was fine. It was just your mismanagement of your E ability. Now, I don't know why your tank was so far ahead without you. If you guys are grouped up and should be perfectly capable of communicating with one another, why there's this far of a gap with time on the clock, I don't get that. So yeah, now you're doing what I was talking about doing on the last fight. Try to help contest high ground, keep your Hanzo supported. And frankly, I would just let your Lucio push the cart and worry about him with the tank here. Teleport up to your Hanzo, he needs help. Yep, good, you did that. You know. Yeah, that's just unlucky. And this is why I hate teleporting to teammates with Kiriko, because sometimes you don't know what you're teleporting into. The only thing that I could, but you heard me say it as you did it, teleport to the Hanzo. That's what I said it and you did the same thing, and that's what our initial reaction to some of this stuff is. But armchair quarterbacking this, assuming you get that reference, which basically means the play happens and then you judge it afterwards. But armchair quarterbacking this, wall climbing up here and then healing your Hanzo might have been the safer bet to do. But in the spur of the moment, in your initial reaction, you and I both thought the same thing. Teleport to the Hanzo and heal him. But then you don't know what you're teleporting into. I didn't know what you were teleporting into. You didn't know. And next thing you know, we're dead because of it. That's a bad habit that you just witnessed me doing, and you did the same thing. So it's just one of those things. Try to gauge what you're going to teleport into before you do it. But I get it. That initial reaction, teleport, boom, do it. But sometimes it's not the right move.
Seconds remaining. Keep attacking.
Shoot the... Okay, that trap you should have seen. I was going to say shoot the trap. Now, luckily, they weren't in a position to do anything about it. Teleport out of that. Teleport out of that. Your DPS by the chapel there was in a safe spot to teleport out to. Okay, that soldier gave up too quickly. He could have shot at you there. Yeah, not the time to use E again. So I said that you can time your E's in a way that, on a Sigma ult. So you're up, right, and you're about to get slammed like right now. Then you would throw your E at like the pillar or the door frame. And then as you're getting slammed down, it wouldn't have done anything to you. And it would have ate that Junkrat grenade too. Now, I say that, but you probably just would have died after you fell anyway. But just so you know to do that for future games, I'm not judging you for dying here because you probably wouldn't have died when you died, but you would have just died like a second or two later, most likely from... Because, I mean, like, their whole team is right here. But yeah, it felt like your whole team started to stagger after the 1 minute mark. So, number one, E. Your E ability needs a ton of work in terms of timing, a little bit on the accuracy, but just knowing when to do it. I mean, we went through a lot of different scenarios in this VOD review, so I would expect, assuming you watched this whole thing, you would have gotten a lot of value in terms of knowing when to VOD or when to E. Number two, DPS, try to get some more shots off on your Kiriko. It didn't feel like you did enough damage. The accuracy felt like it was mostly there. So I'd like to see you going a little bit more aggressive on the DPSing side. Try to shoot for roughly somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500 damage per round. And if you can get more than that, then, you know, fine. But, try to shoot for around there because, and the reason I say that is because outside of the cleansing, you're basically just being a mercy at that point, because then you just sub the cleanse for the rezzing. So if you're damage boosting on mercy, you roughly get around what, like 8 to 1k worth of damage if you're damage boosting on mercy in an entire round, roughly. So that's why I say, like, if you're playing Kiriko, you got to try to get roughly about 1 to 1.5k damage per round. And then 3, I don't know, what would be a good 3 for... Usually I try to come up with 3 points, and for some reason I'm only coming up with 2 for you. I don't know. I don't have a 3 for you. For whatever reason, I think these are the 2 big things for you to be watching as Kiriko. I think I really kind of hyper focused on your E ability just because that was like a really mismanaged ability. And I didn't really see you ulting at, well, actually, wait, I did see 3 ults. when team is together. Sometimes I saw you ulting when the team, when like one guy was down, ulting at the end of the second point on the first round, like that ult, not so great. I think they had already taken the second point, but you guys were like fighting like right at that spot. Yeah, I think some of those ults actually could have, now that I'm thinking about it, some of those ults weren't the greatest. Usually what I like to do for ulting as Kiriko is initiating a team fight. Or if you're playing Kiriko versus Kiriko, sometimes what I like to do is let the enemy Kiriko ult first, and then I give it like somewhere around 3 to 5 seconds, and then I throw mine out there, and then that way you kind of counter some of her ultimate, and then when you spit yours out, now all of a sudden they got to deal with yours, and they won't have it to kind of battle it out back and forth. So like if you're going Kiriko against Kiriko, I go into hyper heal mode when they spit their ult out, and then I try to time it 3 to 5 seconds afterward, and then sometimes that'll give your team an advantage. I find that if you can kind of play chicken with the enemy Kiriko and outlast it a little bit, that can kind of help. And now granted, that didn't really apply to this game, but it's just something to think about next time that you're going Kiriko against Kiriko. So I hope this video was helpful. This one went a little longer than I kind of anticipated it going, but thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.